Hello, everyone. Geriatric here, and if it's Thursday, I must be reviewing a movie that's coming out tomorrow. Gary's here, of course. And tonight, well, it's December. As you know, it's Christmas. The feeling of snow and lights are in the air, so what better time to release a horror movie? This one was called Incarnate. Now, this is actually kind of an interesting movie, but a movie I did have some problems with. We'll get into that. The story is basically that an 11-year-old boy is possessed. There are things going on that cannot be rationally explained, and the Vatican decides that an exorcism needs to be performed. But if you're thinking that this is just going to be a priest is going to walk in there and a battle of good and evil is going to happen, you're going to be surprised, because the man who actually is going to fight this demon is a wheelchair-bound scientist who actually goes into a person's brain where he can fight the demon in the subconscious. Now, first off, let me say that exorcism movies, really how scary or how effective they are, really depends on how much you believe them. I was raised Roman Catholic, so I was taught and brought up to believe that there is something called the devil, demons, and that they can take over your body if you let them. So, to me, exorcism movies are very scary because I believe in that. And my whole thought about exorcism movies is, if you take away something overtly supernatural, such as moving things, and you just have a person who is talking and acting differently, well, some of that can be explained away. If a person starts swearing or becoming violent, well, a rational person in today's society can say, well, that's just schizophrenia or Tourette's or some sort of mental illness. But when it comes to things that there is no possible explanation for how a person knows this, such as speaking in a language that they've never even heard before and speaking it fluently, that's where I start to believe that, maybe some of this stuff is true. Aaron Eckhart plays the scientist, and he does a very good role because in the subconscious, he gets to kind of play a few different roles. In the subconscious, you can kind of do a lot of things. Think Inception or the Jennifer Lopez movie The Cell from the 90s. And he plays it very well. We see a man who is limited in this world, but in the subconscious, he is much more powerful. Also, the fact that as the movie progresses, you find out that this demon who's possessing this child might have a little bit more of a connection to the scientist. Now, as I said, this movie has good points and something that I'm troubled with. As I said, the first thing is that it's a new twist on the exorcism story. It's a guy who has to go in and fight a demon. This man is not a priest. He is a scientist. And he uses the tools available to him to go in. So that is something we haven't really ever seen in an exorcism movie. But that very strength is also this movie's weakness. If we are to assume, in the realms of the movie, that a demon is real, that it can infect people, that is a purely supernatural phenomenon. So how then could science come in and fight that threat? It's a merging of two things that usually don't fit together. And that was one of the things that troubled me about this movie, was because if the demon is real, which we are told and shown early in the movie that this is a demon, this isn't a kid who has some mental illness, there are very supernatural things going on that cannot be rationally explained, then how can science do it? I mean, if we follow this logic, why couldn't the scientists just create a pill that can rid the demon like a virus or something? So that part of the movie kind of got me, because I was trying to reconcile that two parts, which is maybe it's my fault that I can't rationalize the scientific and the religious working together. But as I said, this movie was very interesting because it's not the same tired story about an exorcism. For my personal opinion, no exorcism movie came or was nearly as perfect as the original The Exorcist. It is a scary movie, still scares me today. I think, though, if I were to say, if there was a runner-up, I would probably think The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Because, again, it's kind of a twist on the exorcism story. We are seeing a trial after the exorcism has been performed. But so this movie, as I said, it is scary. Don't go in there thinking that you're not going to get scared. There are some very frightening images, and again, how frightening are they? It's depending on what you believe. If you believe this could happen, then it's really scary. If you don't believe in this realm at all, then it probably won't scare you as much. Rated PG-13, which is something actually I kind of want to talk about very briefly, is that I like the fact that horror movies now have kind of gotten away from the torture porn of the Saw, the Hostile movies, where it was just blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts, and oh, isn't that scary? In a PG-13 setting, yeah, you can show some blood, you can show some violence, but the scares have to come much more subtly. You see a lot of jump scares, and I really like that because it's almost like filmmakers in the horror genre now are trying to kind of test themselves, or challenge themselves, seeing if they can still make a scary movie without having to rely on blood and guts, nudity, and all that. So, yeah, check it out. If you are a WWE fan, keep your eyes out. There is a wrestler. WWE Studios did produce this film, and as I said, keep your eye out for him. So this is Geriatric for Geriatric Midnight Movie Review, telling you, if you're not going to the movies, then what are you doing with your life? Well, Gary, some classic, Christmas stories do have ghosts. I mean, think about, A Christmas Carol, 3 ghosts there. Scrooged. And I mean, even in a way, you could kind of think of the Grinch as a monster. A monster comes down and steals Christmas. Yes, I realized he realized the error of his ways later on in that movie. Yes. You think it's more of a comedy movie. Gary, what is the true meaning of Christmas? Get all the presents you can. You heard it here, folks, but not from me. And she does it very well. This is a character who is very strong and independent to begin with. And unlike some of the other Disney princesses where they have to kind of learn things, Moana